Yeah, now we can see Jagdish.
Oh my God.
Back.
What a long exercise.
And we are also live.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
We'll just wait for 2-3 minutes and then let people join participants.
Sure.
So, no problem.
So welcome participants. We will be waiting for two more minutes. We'll start around 3:03. Just participants are being joining, so we wait for 2 minutes and then we'll go ahead with the session. Please be waited.
This is perfect.
Hmm.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
yes.
audible.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So let the participants be joining and we'll start our session.
Oh, yes.
So very warm welcome, dear all participants. And yeah, as you all registered for this session, you might already know this is a fifth session in a row within this bigger webinar series called Why Social Enterprises Succeed or Fail. So that's the major major series. And today's session is majorly we will be talking about project management criticality in social enterprise management, or like social enterprise success and failure. So that's our today's session. So I'll just take you to today's session. Before just I'll introduce myself. I'm Mowgli Vijender and I'm a manager here in Bala Vikasa. I'm working with Bala Vikasa since a year, and I'm looking after social enterprise wing where we have multiple initiatives. I would be talking about this in a little later. So just we'll go to the session. I would just give you a brief about agenda. What is today's agenda? So firstly, I'll introduce about our organization Balvikas and what we do, and then I'll introduce you all the panelists today here with us. That is second, and then uh, I'll just give you a context of why project management is very important during social enterprise success or failure. That's the context. And then we have our three panelists who would be actually talking about three major areas in the project management, where like the one of the panelists will be talking about key areas. Chandan would be talking about key areas of the project management in relevant to social enterprise success and failure. And Pradeep would be talking about risk and resource management within the project management. And Jagdish would be talking about effective practices and like what are like very relevant to the questions and like examples, quick examples around. And then we would be having a little poll share and like feedback in between we would be taking from you. And then we have a Q&A from few critical questions, 2 3 questions from our end. And then we will be open for Q&A from you, where you can put your questions within the Q&A box available with you. So that is the first thing. And then we just conclude the session. So by the conclusion time, it would be 4:20. We would not take more than what is required time. We'll keep the time, stick to the time as much as possible. So just jumping into our session today, I would like to introduce you about my organization, which is like Bala Vikasa Social Service Society, which is a 43-year-old organization and founded by Andrew Gingras and Pal Teresa. You can see on the screen. These are the two founders. We call them lovely as auntie and uncle. This is our culture. And yeah, they both had one simple philosophy, one liner philosophy. I would say ki we help communities to help themselves. We make them learn fishing rather than giving them a fish. So that's the entire philosophy of Balavikasa, where we have started, and our founders are always been there with each and every program and like every development of the uh, organization. So in 43-year journey, we have identified we work in three major verticals. Those are one is CTDP, we call it as community driven development programs. So this is our start, where we started in 1977. And within this vertical, we work on multiple things like whatnot, water conservation, clean water supply, clean water delivery to each and every village. And then we work on organic farming, we work with women, we work with widows, most vulnerable group in every area. And like we have been into 6,000 villages. We are networked with 6,000 plus villages through this CDDP and all the other programs. So that's majorly about CDDP, one of the vertical. And the second vertical we founded and we identified is PDDC, which is called People Development Training Center. So which has been founded in 2002. And we have been conducting like through this journey, we have understood that lot of professional development, especially development professionals, do need a lot of technical skills like participatory appraisal. Like there are many more. Like we all know. So we have developed a certain customized and standardized national, international level trainings, and like we have been at least engaged with more than 3,000 different organizations within the development sector. So that's the capacity of that's the length and width of how we work in PTDC. And then we have BVIC as a third vertical, which majorly focuses on corporates and startups. So BVIC specially built it for responsible business and social enterprises. So through responsible business, there are two wings within BVIC. So responsible business majorly works with corporates and CSRs, providing them consulting services and capacity building programs and multiple research work. So when I talk about social entrepreneurship wing, which is my own wing, I lead this wing, and where we have 4 different initiatives. One is incubation. So every startup centered organization do come up with incubation. We only focus on social enterprises and we incubate only social enterprises. And we especially have high impact driven enterprises focused. So that's the first part. And then second, we have capacity building. So currently what is the session is all about is the same. So we do conduct multiple capacity building trainings and workshops, and sometimes even We're planning to have hackathons and marathon further. So capacity building for SE ecosystem stakeholders. It is not just one. And then we also into research. Research basically very focused on social enterprise ecosystem strengthening, where we are currently looking at research on what kind of services or gaps are required or like needed, demanded in social enterprises, only on social enterprises. So that's the areas we work on. So the last thing is SE Expo and Federation, where we are trying to build a collective platform for all the social enterprises across India. So you can see our facility there. So this is our campus, Bala Vikasa International Campus, which is located very next to the Hyderabad, like outskirts of Hyderabad, and we have very huge facility here. So this is exclusively built for our social enterprise incubation. We wanted to be the center of entire social enterprise ecosystem. I'm so sorry. Um, now I would like to welcome once again to all the panelists who are here, and very warm welcome, sir, and Pradeep, Chandan, and Jagdish. So I just wanted to quickly give a 1 minute note on each panelist. So first I like to introduce Jagdish ji, Jagdish Butch, who is currently a business consultant and mentor at Foresight Associates and Cognizant Ventures. So, and he comes with an experience of more than 15 years in the relevant field and experience in clean energy role of a CEO in social venture funded project also. And he brings to the table today is like he comes with an expertise of management consulting and change management. And of course, he's very passionate about mentoring startups, especially social enterprises. So that's all is about Jagdish. Welcome,
Thank
Jagdish.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have Pradeep Malu today here. So who is currently a founder of Innovent Solutions and mentor of change in Niti Aayog, a member of Mentor Network in IIM Kashipur, and of course, with he is also mentor with BVIC and Startup India. So he has more than 33 decades of experience in very leading role, and like almost more than 2 decades of experience he had handled in lead roles where project management is very critical area throughout his experience, and served as a project lead for TB eradication program also. And of course he also comes with an expertise of management consulting and strategic planning. So his core area, I mean, like one of the best expertise for the relevant to very this session is strategic planning. We would be learning more from him. Thank you, sir, Pradeep ji.
Thank you. Thank you, Vijay ji.
Yeah. So next we have Chandan Tiwari, who is also a founder of Hostel.in and Entrepreneurial Development Council, and also a mentor at Startup India, in Niti Aayog, of course. And one of the interesting thing about him is like he currently mentoring 35 plus startups. So that's I mean, like interesting thing about him. And then he is also having a decade of experience, especially very close to entrepreneurial initiatives, majorly. And he's very much interested in social enterprises and mentoring social enterprises. And also other thing is like he is very much. I mean, like when I saw his profile, it is very interesting that he has this 5,000 plus youth. He mentored 5,000 plus youth. That's a very wonderful thing I came across. And he comes with an expertise of mentoring and team building leadership. And of course, he also comes with an expertise of fundraising. So this is all about welcome Chandan Tiwari, and yeah, warm welcome for all the panelists. So we are here for this session, and we expect from you that like we learn as much as possible in 1 hour about the project management, especially regarding social enterprise success and failure. So warm welcome. And I would like, as I mentioned in the agenda, I would like Chandan Tiwari ji to brief about project management in social enterprises, and also about a little bit about marketing management, how different it is from any other enterprise management, or like it is majorly what participants and we are looking for is like everybody thinks about project management is very different for social enterprise and enterprise, and we would like to have an understanding about that, like is it different or like how it is and what is that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vijendra, and thank you, BVIC. Welcome all the participants. Start with the project management. Okay, so I start with a very good example of project management. It's very easy because I have only 7 minutes, so maybe I use my time with the story. So I plan to start a work in rural area to develop rural area with entrepreneurs. The biggest target: how can I decide my project? How can I go to village? How can I give a task? How can I find a good student, a good entrepreneur to come out and give some idea and give some solution to our country? The very tough task. May, especially I am come for a rural background, and especially in Uttar Pradesh, English is just myth. Like I'm start learning English in the last 1 year. Then I start a mentorship and I go to Singapore and other country. Then I decided to start learning of English. Like English is just a part. I'm studying Banaras University, is India's largest university. But the problem to go in rural and search something new. It's just example. You start something a project. Like I take a project to work in rural area. What the difference between urban and rural? Urban is a very easy to work, but rural very tough to understand the project. And not only project, also the problem. Sometimes you say, okay, ho jayega, everything is done. So I go to rural area, and also you design some project. Like I'm starting a project to entrepreneur development, go to rural area. I define, like we use my 6 month, I define my time. The first scope of project management, I define my time. How much time I delivered and I promised to for this project? How much time? The time is everything? No, the cost. I stay in village, my food, my demand, flex, standing, holding, everything is a cost. And the third most important part, if you design a project, it's scope. What's your scope? The three main pillars, the triangle of the project management is the three most important pillars: time, cost, and scope. Then you design everything, then you come for a quality. Then you design this three pillar, then you come for a quality. This is called a quality, and I go to deliver this. So come to the project management. This is a very simple example to learn a project management. And now go for next. Not next slide. This slide is continue. Go back. No, next slide. Okay. So project management is specific knowledge of skill, tool, technique, technology, deliver something to value to people, especially in social enterprise. You know what, why, and when. Especially the three things is most important part. And then the value of people. Like if you start something social enterprises, you know the value of people is the most important part. Okay, next. So this is something. The most important part is social entrepreneur, and you plan to a growth. The main people are fail and just start blaming because social entrepreneurs is very tough and we fail because of lack of funding. Our project is failed because the lack of funding, because lack of mentorship, or sometimes you not gain a CSR funding. The best measure to role, how can you market and how can you launch your project? If you launch your project, the first focus to your teamwork, analysis, what you analyze for this in the project, your planning. And the time is the most important part in everything. And calculate your risk. How can you go if you spend over 6 months, 9 months, 1 year as a social entrepreneur, as a some result? Then how can you calculate this? Okay. Then your communication skill. Because social enterprise is a one tough task and really is a social change maker. Sometimes I say social entrepreneur is social change maker, because the most important part is not only work to earn money, is also work for revolution. Okay, so your practice and your result, then you merge everything, then you start with the project management. Okay, so go for next slide. So it's the most important and the very interesting thing. Okay, what the difference between as a project manager if you're designing some project. So why you succeed and fail? Sometimes you design a project like an enterprise. Many startups I saw in the last 5 years, many startups start a social entrepreneur work, but they design a project like enterprises. It's like you know that firstly difference between social enterprises. If you planning to some social, you not focus only for profit. You also focus for revolution. Like if you fix your goal, so is a enterprise always fix a capture a market, but as a social, you always focus to change the world. You always focus on how can I change the world? How can I fill a market gap? Like something different. If we design some objective as a social enterprise, we not only for a profit, we also focus on sustainable solutions. Like not you after next. You always focus on solutions. You are not only profit motive. Okay, I maximize stakeholder, shareholder, value, profit. No, you always focus on social aims. Also, like not only for like earn money, also financially sustainability is a very tough task to in any project. Your risk is not is an enterprise. You just if you design a project and you just think about the profit. Like I give a one example in Varanasi, one person start a e-rickshaw system only for women. He planned to start a e-rickshaw. Then how can he earn money? Firstly, he earn a belief. He decided a project after next 5 years, I'm start a 50 women or 100 women. I'm not take any charges, but I give a loan. I give a rickshaw and take every day I took a 50 rupees or 100. It take a time for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Last 3 years, he is successful with 5,000 e-rickshaw and with women driver. In especially UP mentality, Uttar Pradesh, the most important part if women come to a driver. And also not only UP, also I see many places in India, if girl are driving a scooty, we say, "Arey yaar, girls are not good driver." Many times we say the same line. I'm not objecting any one or two. I'm just say give example. Don't be a personal. Okay. So the social enterprise, you also focus on the financially sustainability because once you break down, the lots of people are with your hope. What next? So always focus on the financial sustainability. Risk, focus on social aspect. Growth, not only for one company, also for a social impact. Like if you work in a rural, youth, and in many different area. So also we focus on a grassroots level of problems and then you go for solve. Sometimes we focus ki agar like lots of enterprise giving the same example designing a project. When I designing a project, that you see the lots of example. First we earn money, then we give to society a CSR of 2%. And this is my social responsibility. So not design a project only for earn money. Because as a social enterprise, we use support a direct to solve a problem of society. Then sometimes feedback is the most important role, is like creative and mark response and other things. Some competitors always believe in if you start an enterprise and design a project. Okay, so you fix a competitors or some parent company and some XYZ company and you decide, okay, no, this is my direct competitor or indirect competitor. But if you work in a social enterprise and design your project with a 3 triangle, time, scope, and cost, focus on your quality. Always remember, your competitor is society. Your competitor is problems. How can you fight and win? And then capital. You focus on the capital. Like not only for like benefit kitna utha lenge and like more focus on financially manageable. You more focus on unpredictable and framework. Like is a social entrepreneur, you have to design a project. If you focus on success, you know the difference between as an enterprise, as a social enterprise. Firstly, focus on the problem. Okay, then give just a simple way. So give a triangle. The 3 ways of triangle of time, cost, and your scope. And a center is always for quality. So how can you work as a quality? Okay, next. So this is something social enterprise focus area. Is not a focus area for working like earn money or something. Is a World Forum report by social enterprise focus area to design a project. If you're designing a project, how can you target a customer? Okay, how can you, because the marketing is the most important part. Is any enterprise, the social or non-social, is the both thing. The most important part is a marketing. How can you go and pitch in your market, and why people buy you and why people believe in you. So this is something is by the World Forum report. The more focus child and youth. financial illusion. Like in the lots of India, in the lots of app to give a loan within few minutes, but it's not a social enterprise. And after a few days, 15 and 20 days, they take a lots of charge. They start blackmailing, calling, and lots of abusive language, using abuse language. So especially in financial conditions in India, it's very bad. So also you work on this agriculture, housing, education is always all time in hype. And also this time in a social, like I see lots of startups coming for tech and edu tech startups, but no one design a project because in a village area, one people in one phone with 3 child. Okay, that's the biggest problem. But no one design a project like in a rural area. Okay, so you design a project also like education, health, employment and skills, enterprise development, and rural development. So this is something in fact to you design your project, and especially to work with culture, scope, and human belief. If you are a social enterprise and design a project, always believe in culture, because people not only think about you, also feel about your project. Okay, and especially the project is the most important part is culture. If you're designing something social enterprise, then you go for values and go for market. So target your person. Okay, firstly you target your person. So what need, possibilities as a social, what's your need, then target your person, write a reviews, or also write from them. How can you solve in this project? How can you solve the problem? Publish and distribute your project, and then see the you not the chances to go fail. You always go for success in the market. So always focus first to how can you solve a problem. Write on them, I solve your problem by this. Fix your scope, publish and distribute your product. And now people come and buy. Maybe my time is over. I'm running lots of time. It's just my very.
It's okay. It's okay. You can take another minute also. Not a worry.
This is my very famous quote, and I no need to maybe repair. Like I really, my mentor gave me this quote in 2013. Social enterprise are not content to just to give a fish or take how to fish. They will not rest until they have revolutionized the fishing industry. Is a Bill Wrighton, founder of Asoka. So I just give a very simple example, one more example, because example the most important part. If you start something, yeah, the slide is in. I just give a small example for social enterprise. A very easy example. One company, the name is Vastu Vihar, start working with a very cheap rate apartments, but he designed everything like enterprise. He designed lots of things as enterprise. The same other company, he decided to develop a rural plant or rural apartments for dedicated to army women. Okay, the second plan is going to success because it decides the army movement. Firstly, is take a time, target a person. This is army woman, know the culture. Second, he give a task. Within 6 months, I complete my task, and also we are rare approved. Third, he check the scope. If my first project is going boom in the market, I launch my second and third project. Also the valuation and also the publication out to public. Like he saw in the browser and everything. These are our first, second, and third project. So public believe, okay, no, there's not only one first project and the last project, it's also first, second, and third. And then more work on quality. The fourth thing, if you work in a social enterprise, you always go for success. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chandanji. It is like really energy. We can sense that energy from your end. I mean, like, yeah, it's obviously for when a founder talks, like, yeah, that energy is always there. So, I mean, like, it was a very quick capsule about project management and social enterprise. So, thank you so much. Participants would be very.
Because, project management is a very large topic.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, like, however, like, it is very hard to keep everything in 15 minutes or 10 minutes, of course. And almost you have covered all the elements of the project management and social enterprise. What is not, what should be a social enterprise. Thank you so much for that, and like thank you so much for the examples. So now I request Pradeep Maluji to brief I mean like about the managing risk and resource constraints. So every project definitely do have. There is no project I in my experience I have never seen a project without constraints or without any lack of resources or like lack of something. So how do we manage this risk? So every project does do have this constraint, but like what is very contextual about social enterprise, and when it definitely comes to purpose and profit, like it is very hard. It would be more constraint around social enterprises. So our Pradeep Maluji will brief about managing risk in social enterprises. Yeah, please, Pradeep.
Thank you so much, Vijinderji. And it was uh, all out blast by by Tiwari ji, by Chandan Tiwari ji, and he gave so much of insight in a very small, like few minutes about how the. So I think that his experience of mentoring almost over 5,000
Hmm.
social enterprise was speaking all that. So now in 7 minutes, I have to speak about risk in social enterprises, not only about the resources, but everything what matters for the success of a social enterprise, though it is too
Yeah.
risky for me to do that, but still I will try to do that. So a lot of risk for me myself at the moment to talk about this what kind of risk one has to do it. So I think the success. So, but before I start, so I was a little confused when I was to make. I said, do I have to speak on the project management risk or project risk? Having debated internally myself, I realized, okay, let us mix both these together, probably project management risks or the project risk by and large at a macro level. And when we have to address the whole thing and talk about in 7 minutes, I think we can all talk about the same thing. So I'm just trying to, it's not only the project management, but a project related risk. So now the most important point, which we always talk about, is a success of a project or the failure of a project is what, as the webinar series says, the social enterprise is failure and success. Is it a luck or it's a skill? I think that's a very very important thing when I just look at it. That purely we are talking about. Oh, it was successful because it was a great luck helping the entrepreneurs, or it was the not the luck, but as we see in the next slide, it was also the skill which was there. They say that chance chance favors the prepared mind. This is what Louis Pasteur said. So there's a luck element as well here, but prepared mind means that our preparedness, our the skills what we require has to happen. The risk can just be one of the points which can be addressed to in terms of preparedness for any project. So now, when we set up any project for that matter, be it a business venture or be it a social venture, when we write a project note, a strong project plan, as I say here, writing about the strong project plan is like writing a horror show. uh, what it means by horror show. It's not that you're writing something, Dracula or something of that kind, but the horror show, it means that it has all good parts of it. However, at the same time, it has completely different side, meaning the downside, the side where things are too risky, and so on and so forth. So therefore, that's very important to understand when we start writing the project. The project people, the entrepreneur, the social entrepreneur or the project entrepreneur is very clear that what all can go wrong and where and how. It is not very important for the entrepreneur or the project lead to know all the answers at that point in time, that how do I deal with this particular situation or this particular risk. However, it is more than enough for someone to incorporate those probable risks into the project plan. It is important because at least that these risks are possible. Now, as probably the solutions may not be available at that point in time, but probably the solutions can come on the go. So what kind of problems one has to write in the project plan? I mean, let's say, for example, operational issue or the technology issue or the social impact issue. Like, for example, there's a risk that I want to improve the water accessibility, or let's say the health or water or agri support or whatever we set up some sort of thing which says very clearly defined vision, saying that this is the impact which you're going to have. But it is a risk. It may happen, it may not happen, because the success of that depends on so many external factors. So why it would happen, there's one part of it which is definitely a part of project plan, but why it won't happen or it can go wrong is equally part of the project plan. So it is important for understand the whole lot of thing, right, to be there. Can we go back only at the moment on the same slide? Yeah. So I think to do this, there are one or two techniques which I would just want to add here itself. So maybe if you have an idea but you may not know what can go wrong, it will be a good idea to do some sort of a small pilot in a very controlled manner, where you capture a lot of data, a lot of information, a lot of ground realities as what all can go wrong there. And then maybe you start capturing that information, keep putting down the piece of paper or piece of plan, and then keep reflecting upon that what can go wrong. I want to give one example here, that which Vijender also mentioned about me in my introduction. uh, it's about when I was a Rotarian, and I'm talking about 20 years back. We thought that the tuberculosis, the TB, was a dreaded disease there. I mean, it is still not. It was still not gone that time. Even still now, it persists. So we thought that why don't we pick up, and the more important part is the TB happens in the certain selected area only, where there is no proper ventilation system and so on and so forth. Basically, I'm referring to slum areas and so in Bombay you'll find a lot of slum areas where this kind of thing, and it spreads like crazy. It spreads by air. So we decided to have that. Why not we set up some sort of a TB eradication project? So we started working on that, collected a lot of data from here and there, from the nearby doctors and everything for that matter, and we set up first a pilot in one particular locality. And we started monitoring it, and we ran for almost 1 year, and with almost 2,500 patients were treated during that that 1 year's time, or maybe 10 months time. And then we had, by the time we understood very precisely what all can go right, what all can go wrong, then we prepared a complete document for that particular project. And then as a part of the Rotary, then we went to the district governor, including we went to the international president and so on and so forth during their visit to India. And we presented that this is how we have done it, this is how the data is, everything is right in place. Now the idea is, why not we replicate it to maybe 10x or 20x or 100x and so on and so forth. And believe me, in having done that, and maybe with about 3 months time from there, we started talking about it. Almost 20 clubs within the in the Bombay area started coming and approaching us, saying that we would like to work on this. And we all had the document ready, where it says that what all can go wrong, what all can go right. Please take this, and this is our experience, and go and execute it. And I think in about 10 15 10 to 12 clubs, even this project is on operational in Mumbai. It's very happy to note about this, that this is how it can be replicated. So this is how the impact of pilot. So to make the plan, the project plan, it is important to understand deeply inside the project, the pluses and the minuses, define these kind of risks, put down the piece of paper. Maybe it's called horror show, and so and so forth. uh, One more point I just want to quickly work on here. So I differentiate two things. One is uncertainty, and second is risk. Okay. So we, in the process of risk, while writing this plan, a project plan, we know for sure that this is the risk, and we have the process as well available. Now, the whole lot of, there are processes where the risk can be de-risked or can be taken care of. However, there is no possibility, there is no way in which uncertainty can be planned at the first stage, and second, uncertainty can be addressed too. So therefore, in this same plan, if there are few uncertainties, please try and incorporate those uncertainties, and make sure the process is written there as well, that how these uncertainties can be converted into a risk. And then we have a definite plan of de-risking that whole thing. So the effort has to be made in terms of how uncertainty gets converted into the risk. That's very, very important. I think we can move on to the next one. So each project has, whether it is a social enterprise or whether it's a business enterprise or the commercial enterprise, the risk is related to at a different stage of the project. Different risk comes in at a different point in time, and the risk is directly connected with the stakeholders. I mean, these are the things which can be directly mapped with the people, with the stakeholders. So if right from the ideation stage, if right up to the scaling, or we can call them as a corporate for no profit, we find there are different stakeholders keep coming in, as a part of the project. And as they keep coming inside, they keep, as your circle keeps expanding and newer stakeholders keep joining as a part of your project, you will find that we have to adopt different mechanism in terms of, de-risking or mitigating the risk and all that. These are the few things, like incubation stage or validation stage or early traction, scaling up, and the full-fledged scale of the enterprise. These are the few stages which we can, I mean, one can definitely define in a different way depending on individually, but broadly this is the structure which we have. Now, what are the ways in which we can, move on to the next slide. We'll find that which are the key risk areas. I mean, if you just these are the few examples which I'm trying to give it here. For example, growth slows down. Now, what happens in case you expected that I want to expand? Like Vijendra said, that Bala Vikasa is now almost operating in 6,000 villages, and this is how it is. Now, based on that, taking the lead, some social enterprise decide that I want to go from 1,000 villages and 3,000 villages and 4,000 and 5,000 and 6,000 and 10,000 villages in next 10 years and 5 years. So the point is, there has to be some basis on that. Number one. Number two, you may have everything, but there's a risk that the plan what you have done may slow down. So these are the few key risk areas, like which are self-explanatory here, like high rate of technology obsolescence. The technology is used extensively in any of the projects, so sometimes it get obsolete, and so and so forth. There are certain times where the government changes their policies, education policy gets changed, or environmental policy gets changed, forestation policy or deforestation. So a lot of things which are required. These are all the areas which are to be defined as a part of, for example, these days you will find a lot of EVs or e-vehicles or green mobility. So there's a lot of changes every now and then. The state government and the central government is changing their policies in terms of green mobility or mobility solutions. So we have to take this part of our risk as well. Customer management, meaning here the society, essentially the recipient of the, or the beneficiary that we talk about. Instead of customer management, probably it could be a beneficiary management. Shift in the interest of the people whom you thought, okay, in this manner I will reach to them. For example, if you have some startup, a social enterprise which takes, which supports the farmers, take their crop or the, to right to the market, and engage with them in terms of enhancing their the income. Probably sometimes there's a change in the law, the whole lot of thing can change here and there. So these are the risk areas which you have an assumption A, but by the time you go to the market and implement in few of the places, maybe the situation is changed. So these are the areas which when I should take it. Now, what are the probable risk? Like, these are the key risk areas. In the next slide, we can see that example of risk, what could be, say, distributed or disturb, or no
Pradeep
funding or
ji,
cash flow.
sorry to disturb you. I mean, like, yeah, time is
I,
something.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Le-
Have I said it? Oh my God, I just
Yeah.
that was risky, for me. Anyway, so these are the few examples of risk. So which you probably can take it various kind of thing. We can move on to the next one. Next slide. So map your risk into your plan so that your forwardness is a forearm. Basically, you should be ready for meeting the you are prepared for that. And the last thing is, like, you have a 3T experience. Can we move on to the next slide, where you have to take the risk when you start a plan, an enterprise. You have to take risk. You can't have an enterprise without risk. You have to have a mechanism by which you can transfer the risk, by meaning that you have some insurance and this and so forth. Or you can say that you have you can terminate the risk as well in case you find it too risky for that matter. So this is where I stop at the moment. Maybe then we can take few questions later on. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry for that.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, thank you so much, Pradeep ji. And it was definitely covering all the kinds of risk involved in every enterprise or like every project. And definitely, from today onwards, I'm not going to forget about the horror show. Definitely, every day we are definitely going to plan lot many things, like whether it is personal, professional, or whatever. So from today onwards, I'm going to remember this horror show as a word which has to be considered when I'm planning for anything. Yeah, I mean, like that was a wonderful thing. Like I had never considered like how much I'm giving importance to the risk during the planning. And of course, today, like even I feel much more better. Like it is very, very important to give more time to the risks involved rather than how do we assume. We always tend to have this ignorance of having good assumptions, like positive side, negative side. Like we tend to fail to assume, or like sometimes even we ignore just a human nature, I guess. I mean, like that's the way. And the tagline is very interesting. The horror show. I'm going to keep it in front of my desk from today. Thank you so much, Pradeep ji. And now I definitely I welcome Jagdish ji to give a little brief about the effective practices in project management. Yeah. So and more relevant and like definitely I'm sure sir would be having good examples to share with us. So effective practices in project management. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Jagdish ji, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bala Vikasa, for having us here. Uh, I hope I'm audible.
Yes. Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you. Um, Not much is actually left for me to add here because major part has been covered by Chandanji and Pradeepji in a very, very innovative way, I would say. Only thing I'm going to add up a little bit of few pins here and there, and definitely some examples, relevant examples. So, as already shared by my earlier two speakers, for any project or a startup to succeed, we must have whether it is for profit or not for profit, whether it is social or it is for a corporate, for any project to succeed right at the start, complete understanding of the whole project and its journey ahead needs to be mapped and very clearly understood. Very focused attention. Why I say this is because it is extremely crucial to drive onto this aspect as the journey starts. Then we have to also be different. I mean, there may be a unique solution in my mind for a particular problem. But whether somebody has already addressed what is unique, why am I coming into the picture? Then equally important is complete business plan. This is extremely relevant even for social enterprises. We see not many social enterprises succeed for a long period of time or their struggle continues largely because in the zeal, in their enthusiasm to do social angle, they somehow unknowingly also ignore the business aspect of it. Ultimately, either it has to be funded by self-sustenance or somebody has to fund it. If somebody else has to fund it, they will talk about numbers. If it is for self-sustaining, again you need money. So a complete business plan, even for a social venture to succeed, is a must. And most importantly, no matter what, the team needs to remain committed to the entire vision and mission of the project. Yeah, can we go to the next slide? Now, more relevant to the social project, as earlier shared by Chandanji and Pradeepji, relevant market research, whether what I'm aiming to do is really required, what is the current scenario? Is somebody already addressing? If yes, is there a need gap? See, very crucial to understand need gap for a particular social impact. For example, 20 years ago, in the year 2000, I was part of a founding team which launched a high-tech blood center in my city. And that was planned on the level and scale of New York City Blood Center. Complete technology, complete workup based on New York City Blood Center. It was scaled down to meet the requirements of my city. Fine. But that's where they faltered. They did not take, Joginderji mentioned whether those numbers meet my requirement. So somewhere in the zeal to copy a high-tech Western center, we forgot the numbers and the relevance. We have to have a very fine balance. Cannot see the screen. Somebody wrote. Hope my screen is visible.
It is actually visible.
They're
It is
visible.
actually visible. It could be a problem with one participant. You can continue with this.
Extremely important to understand and have very good clarity about social impact versus the commercial balance. Now, again, I will use the same blood center example. We were out to do a real good social delivery. And we thought we will never do commerce. Over the years, the commerce started winning us and the social impact started getting diluted. Again, as I said, numbers play a very good role even in social ventures. So if you have debated, deliberated extensively, yes, sir, we were part of the team under you, sir, Dr. Ajmani. I was fortunate and honored to be under his team. And that's what it is. A greatest learning for a very good project which could have done immense contribution could not achieve even 50%. I'm really disheartened to see 20 years down the line, the original people, the original team. I was fortunate to be part of original team under Dr. Ajmani, who just wrote a comment, and it would have changed the scenario completely. It is extremely important that we have to be attentive to social deliverables, even professionally. Just because I'm doing a social activity doesn't mean I can do it in any hanky-panky manner. It has time has come that even social activity needs to be delivered professionally. You can see the change, the way Lions and Rotary do their work now in comparison to what they were doing 20 years ago. Yes, a lot of professionalism has to come. Regular social audit to evaluate progress, extremely critical. Whether what we originally planned, envisaged, what we thought would contribute to social impact, whether that has begun to work. So that kind of social audit and also introspect. Yeah, my next slide is about, I gave one concrete example. I will take one. Do I have 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, you can take 2 minutes more.
All right. These are some of the examples where I was part of being mentoring them. I was mentoring a project of promoted by a MDS, a postgraduate dentist, to create checkup and treatment awareness and activity across a large southern India district. The first interaction, I could show him a mirror and he was like, I never thought about all this. He thought that I'm about to do good work, and so there will be hundreds and thousands of people waiting at my door. And people will also undertake the activity, people will also pay. So I requested him. He did not have a business plan. There was no business plan. He never thought of numbers. Extremely brilliant person with high regard for his work. But equally important, as I said, I know I'm sure both my colleague speakers will agree that numbers play the good role even in social entrepreneurship. So I requested this dentist to work on his numbers the way any project needs to do. And within 2 weeks, he was like, I'm lost. So then I asked him, where is your team? He had no team.
Hmm.
He was a one-man team driving and talking about annually. Please mark my words. Annually, 2 lakh dental checkups all by oneself. He never thought. He never thought that he will have to put up ground teams. He never thought there will be logistics issues. He never thought there will be supply issue. Another good example here I'm going to use is I was mentoring a oral cancer detection device startup, again in the part of South India. Excellent product, excellent by any standard. High-end technocrat. Again, again, uh, high-end technocrat and no planning for numbers. He didn't know how he will deal with people who will come to invest. He didn't understand valuation. He didn't understand team management.
Yeah.
It was again 1+1 team. The research scientist himself, supported by his wife. That's it. So he was facing a first meeting from a potential investor, and he was like, what is valuation? Why do I need IP? So these are some of the things that one has to really keep in mind. A very good example I will use is an elder care startup here in my city in Ahmedabad, where I'm mentoring for over 3 years. They've grown fairly good. But again, the deeper understanding of why professionalism, why numbers need to be incorporated, why good team needs to be built around, the
Hmm.
ecosystem has to be built around, is where they have faced challenges. Yeah. So then what is really required? Plan it well and just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm ready for questions.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
can't agree more with Dr. Admani. Yes, we really need to be objective in evaluating. Sure.
Yeah.
Point noted, sir.
Thank you, Jagdish ji. And yeah, we have taken a little more time. I mean, like other than what we had thought of, but like it looks like very perfect. What Pradeep has added and Chandan has added, you filled all the things which are needed furthermore. So it is very perfect. So dear participants, like you would have seen a little poll about how did we reached out, and like we also want to learn which way was more successful. So please respond to those polls. And now we will as mentioned in the agenda, and like we'll jump into the Q&A. So please write your questions in the question box, and like keep your questions relevant to the project management and social enterprise thing. So don't be very generic. I do see little questions very generic. What can we do for like so much of corona and all? So don't keep that generic. Please stick to the project management and social enterprise theme. And we already have 2 3 questions which are very important and very critical for project management in social enterprises. So I'm just posting that question to all our panelists. Please do share your opinion on this. So it's more or less everybody. I mean, like you have already covered about the important pillars and like what is the risk, how important risk has to be covered in the plan, and like now Jagdish has also mentioned like the other important things which we regularly tend to miss. And of course, this is again coming from the same edge. What are the like few common mistakes that happen in preparing project planning? It's not just about management or like project planning is also like it looks like all 3 of our panelists are focused, and like it is always important to have a plan in place. So what are that common mistakes which happen in planning? So that's where like I'm coming up with. And can you please share your thoughts around it? So I would go first with Pradeep ji. so that you can share.
Oh, yes. So thank you, Vijan. So I think the common mistake normally is that plan is it doesn't carry the whole lot of aspects of the it's the project. The why most of the time we understand, oh, this will go right and this will go right and everything will go right. But unfortunately, what happens that when we start doing the project right on the ground level, there are a lot of new things start emerging, and sometimes even things which are the assumptions on which we are moving forward. As this is the project we should be taking forward. I tell you one example, simple example, which I gave it to that point in time in Rotary TB eradication program. Uh, the biggest challenge was not that we were not able to find people that who were impacted by tuberculosis that time. The challenge was whether they were doing they were doing the full course, they were taking the full course, the patient who were suffering from TB, whether they were taking the full course or not. So what happens in TB particularly, when somebody, a lot of symptoms for TB comes up, and then somebody takes few medicines for a few days, he starts feeling good, and then he stops taking medicine, whereas the medicine is required to be taken for, let's say, 12 months or 15 months, 16 months. What
Hmm.
happens if it is missed out? Then, so that assumption, you would get it, once you, okay, this is a big challenge, so you got to have those things to be incorporated, that how do we have the compliance, that the course compliance is important and critical for this particular project. Otherwise they go back, they develop, in fact they become more dangerous, they develop resistance about for the medicine, and then they are the spreaders into the whole thing. So it was just a small example. So as you keep moving forward, you keep the plan is not that you made it on the 1st of January and then it is stick all of that. It has to be very, very dynamic and keep improving it.
Yeah. Thank you, Pradeep. And Chandanji, anything to add to that?
I go with the Pradeep sir, and I add something like also if you plan to design a some project, so focus at fix a timeline.
Hmm.
How much time first, and second, focus on the culture also. I'm always focused on this. I see many startup of North India go to East India and West India, just ideas flop. They're not like working, especially. So this is also focus. If you design a project, also know about geographical location. If you design
Hmm.
any social enterprise, so we more focus on first your timeline, second your culture, and third, the lots of starting doing the same mistake. We started designing for social enterprise and always think about the funding. Someone also asked for same question. So this is some or more
Yeah.
mistake. Not all time focus on funding. You focus on the project and then market. VCs come with you. Okay. So those three things maybe the common mistake to designing a project. Some people are designing a project like I'm working, start working on it, within 1 month I get fund. So not
Hmm.
only decide this type of project. Within 1 year I get fund. If you not get a fund within 1 year, then what your project? What's your
Yeah.
next plan? So maybe the three things are most important as per my otherwise Pradeep sir also add the thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's really, I mean, like the way forward. I mean, like nowadays, I could relate to a lot of startups in what Chandan has actually mentioned. So, Jagdish sir, do you have anything to
Yeah,
add to that?
I'll go with both of them with a little addition in the sense, uh, most of the time, failure, ability to visualize what can go wrong, and mitigation plan to
Yeah.
correct those failures on the ground. Who, how, and when.
Hmm.
Very important to also visualize this, at least to some extent, and provide for a mitigation plan, plan B.
Yeah.
Like somebody just wrote, standby plan.
Hmm.
Extremely critical that we have plan B or standby plan ready as a part of the overall project. If something goes wrong, what is the course correction required? Who will lead that course correction? In what time frame? With what budget? This has to be part of the overall budget project plan. Oh,
Yeah.
apart from, of course, what both my earlier speakers said.
Thank you so much for that addition. It is very, very important actually. And we also see a lot of questions from participants, which are very, very specific and all. So before we take participant question, I have one more small question to put forward with you. Uh, and like it's always like project management is like always relevant, always like for everything it is always relevant. That is so like how relevant for social enterprises? Is it so relevant? And like project management, whenever we talk about social enterprises, it is people would talk about innovation and like change people, I mean like behavioral change, change leadership of change. So all these are some it's like some other box. We all feel like it is some other box, and like we are talking about something which is very tangible. Project management is very like 1 + 2 is equal to 3, like that kind of a calculate a very quantified perspective. So is it so relevant? If I'm into social innovation project or like enterprise project, how relevant project management is? And like can you give any quick quote or like any example? Yeah, now I would like to have Chandran to share on this.
Okay, thank you. As per my experience, for enterprise and social enterprise, like for project is important for both. It's like 100%. Both are focused for targeting market. Both are focused for some changes. Maybe some for profitable, some for non-profitable, but more both are focused on the same thing. Yeah. So as per my, I think the project management is a most important part and 100% relatable for both. But if you design something, you more focus on your productivity. So in the social, you design as a project with more responsibility. As an enterprise, you back out and change your plan and responsibility. But as if you have social responsibility, the project part is more important for you as per normal enterprise, because we have not only your company responsibility or startup responsibility or innovation, you have some target audience, some ruler, some children, and anyone is a social. So you take more responsibility on this. So maybe the project management is the most important part, and no one just forget this. Okay, as per my opinion.
Pradeep ji.
Yeah, I think just to add what Chandan says, I think where we see most of the time when we meet a lot of entrepreneurs, whether in a normal commercial enterprise or the social enterprise, they come up with an idea. And once they come up with an idea, and then they say, okay, this is a great solution, and then they define the problem. Actually, the process has to be reversed. They have to observe first the problem, what is the problem, and then they have to design a solution for that. Now if they can observe or they can see the, basically it requires a different approach to look at the behavior with in the society and so on and so forth, in case you are dealing with masses, or maybe you are trying to do some sort of an impact, change and so on and so forth. So there is some problem existing, or maybe efficiency or inefficiency. You want to improve upon that, and improve upon that is the one and which definitely improves and meets the cost and so on and so forth, and also scalable. These are three or four criteria which should be done. But sticking to in these two first the silos, uh, the more important is when we have identified a problem, and then we have obviously things are happening in the society there. At that point in time, innovative mind or innovative designing thoughts and everything has to come in. Some sort of innovation is required in even in the social enterprises. Otherwise, we will be just copying it what is all happening around. I personally believe that way.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Jagdish ji, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I can completely agree with both of them. Just to add, because social enterprise, unlike the commercial enterprise, where commercial enterprise means suppose the idea doesn't work, the numbers don't meet, you close down the company, pack up and go. Yeah. Now, unlike that, when you are dealing with a social enterprise, even if it's somebody else is funding it, because there is a inclusive philosophy, the society is a part of the whole activity, because social enterprise success comes only by having an inclusive approach.
Yeah.
Which means as an enterprise I'm more answerable, I'm more accountable, because if I miss out on that in terms of deliverables or professionalism or accountability, then people are bound to lose faith in similar ventures coming up in future time. So because we deal as a social enterprise in an inclusive manner, we need to be extremely cautious right at the project plan stage to the implementation stage.
Yeah. Thank you, all the panelists. And I still have too many questions to ask, but like I'm seeing many questions from participants, so we'll just take as many questions as possible from participants. We are already running out of time. So before getting into your questions, participants, so please do participate in this poll. You just rate the sessions. I'll just read out the first question we have received anonymous, but like it is very interesting question. At what stage or level should we think of mapping risk management? Is it, I mean, like, it's at what level we have to think about this risk management? That's what the question is. I would request panelists to keep your answers short so that we take more questions.
Yeah, it could be as short as like right from the day one.
I'll say time zero, right at the conceptual stage, idea stage.
Yeah.
Time zero, I would say. Even before I go live.
Don't wait a time to write a question. Start risk.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Yeah. It would be then I'll go to the second question. Is there a need for team if you have a new startup enterprise?
Just give one example. Full form of team. Together, everyone achieve more. That's enough for your example answer. Together, everyone achieve more. So yeah, team is most important.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
At least more than one hand. Or you need one more shoulder to cry on. to put it very lightly. Yeah.
Of course. Startup is always a learning. I mean, like we have to start with a failure. That's what startup is all about. So yeah, thank you so much. And as part, I'm coming for. I'm reading out third question. This is from Apurva Patil. As part of project management, if panelists would please throw some light on legal process challenges which one should consider on priority.
Okay. So like I add 3 points. If you plan to start some social enterprise and you have legal concerns, firstly register your company. Yes. Because many startups go to village and start some SHG form, other things, but is not registered. So many villagers come across for 420 cases. Okay. So firstly you register. And then if you collect any data of Aadhaar card, bank ID, anything, you have a special permit for data.gov.in to take some license to how can you collect the data, what is the security process and other things. Because as social activity, many people not focus on this. After a few times, the government asks question who give you permission to collect the data. Because this time the data is more available for anything. My number, my thing, everything. And everything is online. So the most important part, firstly you go registered. And as per your innovation, if you work in a village, first to signature with the Pradhan, in the Gram Pradhan and anyone in your village head. So the most important part, you work in the paperwork in every manner. So it's small to hard. And as a startup, you firstly consult with some mentor and some other person to about which documents and which legal process is required. Because every idea has a different platform, different legal term and conditions. The IoT has a different legal consider. Normal social work is a different legal consider. So we go for some mentor or some legal mentors. Is also good for you.
Yeah, I think that is very true because you have to be very, very careful in dealing with, because you are going for a good cause there, but it should happen that it is misunderstood or misconstrued, in some fashion. So the legal structure of what your standing is, where are you coming from, the clarity of identity, complete transparency in the whole approach, and going through the proper hierarchy. It is the good idea to do that with proper documentation. As a standalone person, it is very, very difficult sometimes to go there.
Yeah. Thank you.
I quite agree. Legal identity and hierarchy to follow. No matter whether it is big or small, no matter whether you are on time 0, day 1, or you are on day 100, you start doing good work in a village, like Chandanji said. People like the work. Somebody will come forward and say, I want to donate. In what capacity will you take that money? Even donation. And then you can't have backtracking of those entries. as an enterprise. So it is extremely important to be careful and justifiably planned for having a legal entity in place right as a part of plan.
Yeah. Thank you. So we
Yeah,
have
one just point that right from day one, maybe have a good legal advisor as part of on board, so he can or she can guide the NGO or the social enterprise in a proper way. Right from okay, what structure and so on and so forth. So if it is clearly defined, and I think one has to be very transparent in their approach.
right, of course, no sir, like
Sorry, then I
yeah.
interrupt. I have one good example about this. I have one startup I mentor. The name is Viri Audiobook. So working for audiobook, but especially for blind people. He just start a normal enterprise. After a few days, he realize, oh, I am a social enterprise because I'm working only for blind students. Okay. And after a few days, he planning to, oh, I'm already registered a private limited. How can I go for Section 8? So the lots of things. So the Pradeep sir mentioned that this is exact. But if you starting with 0-1, you have some mentor or legal mentor. The both is to support you.
That's where entire mentor network across incubations, across startup ecosystem is like very, very, I mean, like relevant and like very important to have a startup connected with a mentor, mentee connected with mentor, with all these services, with all these advisors is very, very important.
See, that answers that previous question whether you need a team.
Yeah.
Self-explanatory.
So we'll take like before we go to the conclusion, I would like to take one more question from the participant. It's Subhajit Das. When we stuck to challenges here for implementation, like team unable to implement to the ground, I mean like in the time, which we have to keep in mind, like during that stuck time, during lot of times many people get stuck with the implementation part. So what are the things I have to keep in mind as an entrepreneur, and how do I tackle this challenge? So that's what Subhajit Das is asking, and this is our last question for the session.
To me, to start any project, even social enterprise, having a like-minded people join as a team, people who have similar values, people who believe in each other, is the most crucial factor to start the journey.
Yeah, very important.
Okay. So as per my experience, or maybe I'm not right, but I'd like you go for if you're stuck in some challenges and other things. That question is same, na? Yeah. In the challenges, always focus a circle. The circle name is sympathize. Firstly, you empathize the problem. Go with your idea. Focus on solution. Work with your ideation, and then trial, hit, run, trial, hit, run, trial, hit, run. Then you are stuck. You just empathize the customer, your focus measure person, then it starts same circle, and you going the rock in the market.
Yeah.
Just to add that, I think you should also try to bring in more resources, like connect with the institutions like Bala Vikasa and so on. So I mean, there are. I'm just giving for the sake of example, so that you bring in a lot of external minds to address your problem. It is very important to bring in at that point in time external minds to address these issues.
Having a third view is always important,
That's
whether
right.
it is actually stuck or not. Actually, yeah, I mean, like I had a wonderful session, and like it's a wonderful day for me. So there are like lot many questions still from the participants. Don't be worried. You just please write back to us. We'll connect you with the panelists. There are people who are asking for contact information of panelists. We definitely do provide you. Please only we request you to just share a mail with us so that we reach out to you whatever you require. So that's for the session. So before I just want to conclude the session with a thank you, and I would like you guys to know about the next session from our end is uh, on next Wednesday, same time, 3 o'clock to 4:20. So which is again it's a sixth session on the same line, why social entrepreneurs succeed or fail. It's more of a monitoring and evaluation. So the entire series is actually planned according to the 12 biggest problems of social enterprise, why they succeed or failure. So this is a sixth session we are going to have. So please be there, and like we have a wonderful panelist next. So few of the people were also asking, like, do we have further training sessions from Bala Vikasa on project management or like social enterprise or social marketing? So we do have multiple 10 different training programs with us. So we would be communicating to you on these things. You can always register and get involved with us. So I don't want to take more time. Let's stick to the time. And yeah, I really say I do remember three pillars of the project management and the horror show.
3T, 3T,
3T, yeah,
3T.
3T. Wonderful, wonderful. It was like very amazing session for me. Thank you so much, panelists, and thank you so much, all the participants. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Stay
much. It
safe.
was very
Thank
enjoyable.
you.
Thank you.
Enjoyable session. Thank you very much.